There's more than one way to be Black, and that's why we want you to feel seen. Redefine Black, it's all about making it your own. So that's why Redefine Black presents Talk Black to Me, the podcast. Tune in. Welcome to another episode. Today's guest is Bradley Valentin. He is a musician, multimedia producer, and director. He's a part of the band Meridian Lights, and he's the founder of It's Color Me. Please welcome him. And thank you for being a guest today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
So, Bradley, I know you're from New York, Brooklyn specifically. Got to get that right when you're describing New York City.
That's right.
Could you just please tell us a little bit about your journey of becoming a musician and your genre of music? Because I guess today it would be considered like alternative. As Black people, we're like, how'd you get into that?
Right.
And, overall creative.
Sure. So like you said, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I really from the Flatbush, Midwood, and Grays End area of Brooklyn, for those that are familiar. Um, I I grew up in a musical family, like a lot of us are musicians. My youngest sister is a master pianist. Went to school for it. Didn't pursue music, but is a master pianist because of my stepfather, which is her father, who may he rest in peace. I think he is my biggest musical influence. Like he played 8 instruments, 4 of them were self-taught. And I watched him teach himself those 4 other music instruments. Um, and my mother's always been in choirs, and she loves the arts. She's not necessarily a musician, but she loves the arts. And then my great uncle, may he rest in peace, was part of like this huge like big jazz band back in like I think the 40s or 50s. So music has kind of been in my world, and I gravitated to it. I think the creator made me this way and provided the characters that is my family to lead me to that way. And then and I've been doing I didn't take music seriously till like after high school. I was like, all right, and I have a gift for skills, so I should probably like hone in and do it. So I started doing it, performing here and there. And eventually I met my now bandmate, Yambe Sampson. We formed Meridian Lights. And it was more so kind of honestly, it wasn't even like I just met someone that understood me as a musician. We shared the same musical interest and love, and we just started making music. But really quickly I realized that he is my musical soulmate. Yeah, we really are musical soulmates. Like I probably, in respect to even my own self and other musicians that I've done work with, but like I think I make my best music with him. Or we make the best music together, I should say. And yeah, we formed Meridian Lights some time ago. I think this is like a decade now.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, we've been together. Thank you. We've been together 10 years. A lot has happened in 10 years. And we were one of the bands that people kind of was like, oh, they up next. And I still feel like we're still up next. It's just been taking a little longer. But we I mean, it's some people were defining it, the music we make, people were defining it as like alternative. And I sometimes identify alternative only because like I can't find any other like title to give it really.
Especially when you try to fit in a category like on, eyes and all that. Yeah.
Exactly. And which is funny because when we first started, when we would have these meetings, these labels and all that stuff, like that was one of the things that they were really confused about. And now it's like embraced, right? You could be an artist, you could move 20,000 genres. But when we first started off, people were kind of like, yo, you guys exist in 3 different categories. We don't know where to put you. Pick one. And we were like, we're not going to pick anything. Because it's like, and I used to right. I used to use an analogy. I said, well, I love to wear sneakers, I love to wear shoes, and I love to wear boots. And if you tell me I have to choose one, then I can't choose one because I like to wear all 3. So it's just like, but now like I love to see like musicians could like 1 minute you could do trap rap and then you could do rock and then you could do R&B. Like, oh, awesome! If you could do it, let's do it. So
And they all be hit too, not just
all be good, exactly, you know? And it's just like, and I just think Black people, we've gotten to a place where I think Black people, we've gotten to a place where it's not like we've gotten to a place. I think we've arrived again, like we've come back, where we've like, you know, we're showcasing that we don't only exist in two genres. Like we've always existed in many genres. Matter of fact, we are the innovators of other genres. Like we are like people don't know. Like we invented tech. Not tech. Techno. Yeah. We invented rock. Like people don't know these things. You know what I'm saying? But like, you know, all that. Yeah, it's just been it became a very it became very popular in other demographics. But we are the architects of these things. So for me, it's more like it's not like we've arrived. It's like we've come back. We spin the block. We spin the block and be like, yo, this is ours. We can do this. And Black people don't look one way. You look so many different ways. You know what I'm saying?
So like so many different things. You know.
Exactly. Exactly.
You did mention like, you know, your stepfather, your late stepfather, and your late great uncle were inspiration. And I know those are men. Like, how did they help shape you as a musician? And also, we're saying you're a musician, but what do you specifically do for our audience so they know?
Oh, yeah, I'm mostly a vocalist. I'm a vocalist first. I play the guitar, as you can see in the back. But I'm a and I play a little bit of the keys. I play a little bit of the harmonica. But I'm a vocalist first. Like that's my thing. A vocalist, a songwriter. I write and sing about everything. Like mostly from my experience, but also from a person observing other people. I speak other people's stories too. So sometimes I write something and they're like, what is that about? It has nothing to do with me, but it's about like my friend. My friend went through this thing. You know what I mean? So
and it's something relatable from somebody's story.
Exactly. And also learning, you know, I'm big on like emotional intelligence. So it's like I'm big on like really practicing that. So for me, it's more like, you know, to me, songwriting builds my emotional intelligence where I could like tap my mind into somebody else's experience. So yeah.
Nice. So growing up, like I said, you had your late stepfather. I'm sorry about the passing.
Thank you.
And your late great uncle. Did you have any other influences, or like how did they influence you to even get into music, or did you see other Black people? Yeah.
Well, there's been a lot of people, a lot of Black people that's influenced me. My great uncle, you know, growing up, I would see like he was a trumpet player, so like I would see like pictures of him and his band traveling, like this like 40s. I feel like it's the 40s, and he died a long time ago. But I'm like I would see that, and he was such a kind man. May he rest in peace. Such a like he's like cute too. He's like I used to look at him like he's so cute, you know what I mean? Like but he was the only man, honestly, and this is a more layered conversation for another time. But he was the only man that my stepfather really was like fanboying, like really was like a fan. And I never saw my stepfather was like this, like, you know, he's a very complex man. We've had a complicated relationship. He was a complex man, you know, he didn't really show other men live, like in real time, really like that much like admiration really. But my great uncle, he really was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like when he come and visit, he's like, oh my God, do you need anything? I'm like, man, like you're really fanboying on this dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like I know him, that's my uncle, like, you know what I'm saying? And I kind of grew up with him. So, and but he would tell me all the time, he's like, yo, your uncle's like so respected in the music world, like you don't understand. And I'm like, I guess, you know, I just know him as my uncle, you know what I mean? I'm just I guess. And so I pay attention to that. But then my stepfather will always like bring musicians all around the world. Like he was the first to show me like the whole like the diaspora of like the African diaspora, like people from Africa, like people from the countries of Africa, from mostly West Africa. But he would bring music home and bring these like musicians, and he would just have us like sit there and watch. And you know, I'm the oldest child, so and I'm the only boy, so he was just me like, all right, the others, my sisters would be like, oh yeah, they'll watch and like they'll leave and do their thing, but he would like, yo, sit there, and watch it, and after a while, at first it was like a chore. I was like, oh my god,
Right.
but then I was just kind of like would tap in, and I would always pay attention to the vocalist. That's how I knew I was a vocalist. There's a creator made me this way because like I always pay attention to the vocalist, and while he's paying attention to like the music, the music, the musicians, the instrumentalists rather. Like I would pay attention to the vocalist, and he will also what bind us, or we connected was we will always pay attention to the showmanship of the lead singer, and I would like we would pay attention to that, and I'm realizing that I was really internalizing all those things. I didn't know until like years ago because
he probably knew. He's like, I'm gonna have him keep watching this. He doesn't know, but it's gonna affect him.
Probably know it's true. Because 5 years ago, I was kind of it hit me, and I was like, "Yo, this is," because I even the way I sing, the way I play with my voice, like it's all tap into those musicians that he was showing. It was mostly people that weren't fully like wasn't American because my stepfather is Haitian, my family's Haitian,
okay.
And so there was a lot of like what we call compa music, which was like the music of like Haitians. And like rah 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 was like rah rah zouk. It's kind of like carnival music. So those things like I know because that's my family's culture, and I'm a first generation Haitian American. So for me, I'm having a very Black American experience. So I'm listening to like rap. I listen to a lot of hip hop. And I'm listening to hip hop.
Yeah.
What is that?
I said so. Combining those two, it's like two different.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it's like I'm listening to all that stuff and R&B, and then my sister, who was like really our first alternative person in our family, was just listening to like what people would call white music. You know what I mean? But it's just like modern rock and all that stuff. She would like really listen to those things, and I would always again just pay attention to the vocalist. And I was like, I like what the vocalist is doing, and I gravitated to the music she was bringing as well. And so I just combined that. So I was kind of like influenced by so many like black folks all over the diaspora, and I had like amazing black folks, amazing musicians in my house. And then I would watch my mom, who's not a musician, but I feel like my mom should have probably been in some type of show business because I think it's in her. Like I learned how to dance compa from my mom, just watching my mom and the elder men, like the elders, like the way the men would dance. And I watched my mom. And so I'll go to parties and dance compa. And they were like, yo, your son is so good. But I would watch her. And I really feel like my mom should have been a performer because she would bring me her choir rehearsals. And after a while, I was like, you know what? I have no choice but to be here with this woman for hours. With all these elders, I might as well join in. So I started joining in and enjoyed it. They were like, yo, your son. And I'm like 8 years old. Like, this is before my stepfather, because my stepfather came to my life at like 10. So I'm like 8. And I'm there with these like Haitian choir singing their songs, like, da, da, da. They're like, he's in it. And I was kind of like, yo, like, I just figured if I'm going to be here, instead of complaining, I like music. Yeah. So let me just like join in. So these have been my like influences, So yeah.
That's really dope because, Blackness is not one, it's a diaspora. We have Caribbeans, African Americans, Africans, Afro Latinos, all over. So it's nice that you could pull, especially like your intercultural too at this point. So I think that's probably a reflection in your music as well.
Right.
Well, switching gears, you're also a creative director and producer. How did you overall get into like the whole overall creative field?
So, how do I simplify this? As a kid, I've always like, that's why I'm always gonna reference back saying like, they created me this way, and
I think. Oh, sorry. I think it's a good point you said. Like maybe we always have it in us, and then we just arrive. So you arrive into it.
Right, exactly. I like that. I think so. For a while, I was so focused on like being a musician, which I still am. That's instruments. That's my baby. And but then like I would have these like just ideas that I wanted to bring to life, and I would or sometimes bring it to the band, but it wasn't always received well from the band because it didn't necessarily fit the band's like branding or image or just vibe really. And I'm just like, man, but and I remember I was with this like this woman, we were together for quite some time, and you know, she was just kind of like, hey, babe, take pictures of me. And I would just take pictures of her. And she was like, man, you're naturally good at photography. And I was like, yeah, I'm not trying to pursue that. You know what I mean? Like I respect crafts. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like I was like, I'll just take a picture of you because you're my woman. Like, you know what I mean? Like you know what I'm saying? And but I started realizing, oh, I might have a skill there. And I just kind of like, and then she would do things with her own brand. And I would give her ideas, and she would look at me like, yo, that's genius. And I would look at her, and I'll never forget, I used to say to her, one day somebody's gonna pay me just for my ideas, you know? And then she, you know what I mean? And she's like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever. Fast forward, broke up, whatever. And I just started having these ideas. And I then decided in 2019 that I was gonna create my own like media company called Color Me Media, and was just gonna like literally just house my ideas somewhere. I just needed to house it, you know, because I would wake up and I'm not I'm being so transparent here. Like I would wake up in the middle of the night and be like, "Ooh, that's a great idea," and just write them down. I was like, "Yo, let me house them and start making them come to life." And so I started doing that. I just started like I created this company. I started with photo shoots, started doing things just off of like just what's in my head, and then soon after that, people started reaching out to me, "Yo, who's doing that?" And I was like, "It's me. It's all me." And I was like, "Okay," like, and I started collaborating with my friends, which I love. I started collaborating with my friends, and they were people, and then other people would hire me, be like, "Yo, can you creative direct this for me? Can you produce this for me?" And I was like, "All right, cool," and I would do it. And then I started doing that for a couple of years, and then or like a year, really, a year or two, and then in 2021, I think somebody came to me that I did work with through the band. She came back and was like, yo, I have this school. I think you should apply. And I was like, okay, what is it? You know, I didn't really know what it was. I was like, what is it? She was like, just apply. I applied, I got in. I still didn't know what it was.
Good thing you listened though.
Right. And then when I was in there, and then like literally like a few days before the class is supposed to start, it was like a master class of 5 months. I realized what it was. It was my introduction to the ad space, advertising. And then it all, while I was in that school, it all made sense to me. And I was like, oh snap. And it allowed me to kind of like really truly like give like the space of being a creative director, a producer, like room for it to just be my identity, my part of my identity. So that's really how I end up really, I'm fairly new to the titles, but it's like, that's me. So now I'm in advertising. I kind of existed in a few industries. Now I'm in advertising. That's like my day job. I'm a producer for this company, ad agency, and then which also like now like a lot of advertising is connecting with like they're kind of becoming interchangeable to some degree, respectfully, with entertainment, which I love. So it's like, you know, so I'm in this space now. So now when people like, what do you do? I'm just like, well, I'm a multimedia producer, director, and musician. And that's really what I am.
It flows very nicely. But congratulations and like navigating and knowing like, okay, I'm not just one person. Like no matter what part I am in my life, I can still switch over and do something else.
Exactly.
So many of us get caught up in like, oh, I only have to be, super focused on one thing and I can't do other things. But as we grow and learn ourselves and we just want to try other things.
And I tell people this, sort of cut me, and I tell people this all the time, or especially recently. I'm like, yo, as long as you're alive, you're always evolving.
Right.
Like, you're always evolving. And advertising is my fourth industry. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to date myself, you know what I mean? But like, I'm way older than what I look. So it's just like, it's my fourth industry. And I didn't really see myself in advertising, you know what I'm saying? But kind of like I'm in it. And and you are just always, especially as a creative man, like you're always like evolving, always. Because you don't know, we don't know. I don't know. Like 5 years from now, I might pick something
Right.
up, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? And this is a great time to be alive as a multidisciplinary artist. It is the greatest time. You could be a photographer on Friday, and on the weekends you're a musician, and Monday through Friday you are a painter. It doesn't matter. Like it's like whatever you want to do, you do it. And obviously, like for me, respectfully at the same time, I love art. I'll always create art, whether I make $1 or not. I'll always create art.
Yes,
However, at the
exactly.
same time, making $1 is very important for me because I'm finna to really make money off my craft and the things that I love to take care of generations to come. So
Right.
yeah.
So I know you're very passionate about it. Love it. How do you keep yourself motivated to even try these new things, or what do you tell yourself like? I'm going to jump into this and go full throttle because I feel like so many people have it within them, but they don't know like how to get started or like how to push themselves. And you seem to like, all right, it's an idea. It might take a little while to brew, but like I go for it.
It's that's a great question. It's a challenge sometimes. I'll be just very honest. I think, and it's only a challenge because for me at least, I speak for myself. It may speak to someone that's listening. It's a challenge only because two things. One is it's always the self doubt.
Right.
It's like that's even how much like no matter how much you've accomplished, it's like it's still a self doubt, you
Right.
know, and that's the biggest hurdle, really. You know, just when you think you go over that hurdle and then you go 20 miles and then there's another like hurdle, there's another mountain. You're like, damn, I thought I left you. You know,
Right.
so it's like, you know, it's just the self doubt. And also too, it's the as an artist, as a creative, our minds are like our computers, right? We have 20, 30 tabs open.
Yeah.
So it's recognizing like what needs to be done first, what needs to be done now, what's more priority versus whatever. Like that's the struggle or the challenge rather. And so for me, I said this, and I'm not always the greatest at it, but I'm definitely much better than I was a couple years ago. I really set like calendars and I've learned to become very organized. I'm not very organized. I've learned to be organized. Um, and so there's real like actionable plan. It's like plan. You know, I have like mad notebooks. You know, there's notebooks after notebooks here. Each notebook is geared to something. Like one is for Color Me, and Color Me has subsidiaries, and then there's a different notebook for the, like I really set up time. I really set up time. I have this thing now because of my job, like it's a 9 to 5. I enjoy it. It's a 9 to 5. I have this thing like as soon as I clock out, bang bang, I go straight to my my music, to my instruments right away. Not every day, but I do it a good 3 days out the week. As soon as I'm done, because I know once I'm done, I'm kind of like I get some vibes ready, and I'm ready to be like
And it's a
whatever.
creative outlet too, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. But I really set up time. I really set up time because the most important thing as an artist, if you want to cultivate your career and get to the next level, is you have to do the things you actually don't really like doing, and that's being organized. That's really setting up your calendar. That's really setting up actual plans. That's really setting up like scheduling and do like it's you have to. Like you just have to. If you really want to get to the next level, if you just want to like be frivolous with your time and your craft and cool, you're not gonna get to that next level and understand that you won't. And if you're okay with that, you're okay with that. But if you're trying to get to the next level, you have to because nobody's gonna do it for me. You know what I mean? So that's what I do. That's how I keep myself motivated. And I have like a great support system. I collab a lot with my friends, and I believe in this. I think every artist should have this. I believe in mentorship. So I have mentors. I also mentor, but I also have mentors. I don't think you're ever old enough to have mentors. And the only reason why I'm in the position I'm in, partially, is because of my mentorship. Like people has mentored me, you know. I want to say too, real quick, because I can't not mention them. And that school, that I was in, and it's called DNAD Shift. For those that's in advertising, you know what DNAD is, but it's DNAD Shift, and it was led by 3 Black women. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, and they're within my age group. Well, one of them is, the other 2 like younger than me, but I don't care about that. For me, it's more like, yo, if you got the gem, I'm here to receive. You know what I'm saying? So, but they were like, they led that group so successfully, my group, and really help us get to our career to the next level. So I'm always gonna thank them, because they really were, they just was a pivotal point of like where I am now and where I'm going. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Ashley, Naire, and Kira.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Black women, hey.
Word up. And Black women raised me, so like I mentioned the 2 men in my family, but it wasn't a lot of men in my family. It is now, because a bunch of us have like had sons now, so which is awesome, because at one point I was like the youngest boy, and I was like 16. There was like no boys after me.
Oh, wow.
But it was like, so I'm raised by women, so I'm always like bigging up like Black women, because I think Black woman is just the closest thing to God. So yeah.
You did mention your mother, how you feel like she could have even gotten that field. You know, sometimes our family, our older family, our elders, they can't do it, but they really push it so that they can see even their dreams through us.
Sure.
Especially shining in us, like go for it. We'll throw it. Yeah.
Facts.
So what advice would you give someone, that looks like you, or a little boy, a little girl, a little Black person that really just wanted to get into, being a musician or creative? Like, what words of advice would you give them?
I would tell them to fight your self-doubt and get to a point. A few things I would tell them, but one of the first and foremost is to fight your self-doubt. The self-battles are your biggest hurdles. It is your biggest hurdle. I don't care who comes around, what happens is your biggest hurdle. So it's like to fight your self-doubt and understand that I think the sooner you fight your self-doubt, the sooner you work through that. And whether that's going to therapy, which sidebar, I'm a strong advocate of therapy. Black people, we need therapy. But like I will fight out like your self-doubt, and really like I feel like the sooner you do that, the sooner that becomes more of a focus, the stronger you are to battle that self-doubt. Because I almost feel like it doesn't really go away. It's just sometimes it hibernates and it comes back stronger than ever. You know what I mean? But understand, like when it does hibernate, it comes back, then you kind of like, oh, I got the tools, I got the instruments to kind of knock you down. So it's like I would say like really fight through that early and fight that consistently, and find that's 1. 2, find a support system. I don't care if it's just one person, because that's all you need sometimes. It's like find a support system that really believes in you and your well-being and the things you want to accomplish. Because sometimes we really just need that one person, and it's one person. It may not be your parents, it may not be a sibling, it may not be a friend, but it might be a school counselor.
Right.
It might be a teacher. It might be that guy actually next door in that building, or that woman in that store that you go to that speaks nothing but life to you. That's all you need is that one person. You know what I mean? So it's just like, so I would really find that support system. 3, I would say really work on your craft. Like work on it, and make all the mistakes.
Right.
Make all the mistakes. Embarrass yourself. Make all the mistakes. That's the only way you're gonna learn. It's the only way you're gonna learn. This whole what's the word I'm looking for? This obsession with perfection.
Yeah.
Is trash. It's like stop.
Instant gratification, like, oh, you see all these people online doing it. It took years for them.
Right. And if anyone gets anything really, in my opinion, I just feel like if people get things, if you accomplish things too fast where there hasn't been a lot of time of like really like time, like that 10,000 hour time, I just feel like as quick as you get, as quickly you lose it. In my opinion, I could be wrong, but it's my opinion. So I've written well over, I don't really know, bro. I think sorry, I'm saying bro, because I decide to talk. But like, I've written well over, like, at this point, has written like 2,000 songs. I have to be, because I stopped counting at 200, and that was almost 20 years ago. So it's just like, so it has to be way more than that actually. But it's like, but that's over $10,000. It's me making mistakes after mistakes, mistakes after mistakes. So really work on your craft, work on it, showcase yourself. And then I think 4 is really that ties into the second thing I said. It's kind of, well, I have 5. 4 is to find mentorship. To find mentorship. And that mentorship could be the person that actually like that one person, right? But to find mentorship, especially preferably someone that depending where you are in life, it could just be a mentorship with just like another human, older human that's just like helping another younger human. But it could be like mentorship with someone that's in that craft. You know what I mean? And lastly, which probably should have been the first or the second, lastly is like really, I don't know what people's belief are, but for me, I believe in the great divine, the creator. And I don't subscribe to any religion, but I subscribe to knowing that this world is bigger than me, and there's entities and energy that conspires to for my best to conspire for my betterment. So it's just like I believe in the creator. I believe in tapping into that. And how I tap into that is the more I tap into me, the more I tap into the creator. And that's a different conversation for another time. But those are my 5. Those are my 5 things I would say to you folks.
Great. So our time is coming close to an end. But as we wrap up, where can people find you, follow you, whatever information you want to give?
Sure.
I know that gets tricky sometimes. You want?
I know because it gets. It's funny when I meet people like, "Yo, where can I get your information?" I was like, man, I don't know, man. I have so many like pages. Which one do you want?
That's where I think a website comes good. You're like, here's my website.
That's true. That's very true. That's very, very true. I got set up that. I got set that up. So at Meridian Lights, MERIDIANLIGHTS. At Meridian Lights, that's on TikTok, that's on Instagram. If you want to check out Color Me Media, it's you can check me out on IG, and the handle is It's Color Me, ITS Color Me, at It's Color Me. So you can check that out on Instagram, and Instagram and Twitter. I think in my TikTok is different. And if you want to check just me, I am on TikTok, and it's Bradley Valentin. Same way spelling Valentine, but no E at the end. So that's how you find me. And in my personal, I talk about a bunch of stuff you may agree, mistake you may not, because I talk about some Black stuff, and I love my Black people. So yeah.
All right. And before we end, I ask all my guests this. It's just something I want to get. I'm gonna say Black is
divine.
Nice. That's great. That's a wrap. Thank you so much. This is a good interview. I feel like
Thank you very much.
You were saying things that could have went like, oh, I could go here. It could be like a whole nother segment. It was good.
Want to stay up to date with everything Bradley's doing? Be sure to follow his band page, Meridian Lights on Instagram, his production company, It's Color Me on Instagram, and for everything personal and all things Bradley, follow him on TikTok at Bradley Valentin. Tune in next week for an all-new episode. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast or on YouTube.